me ask you just one direct question.
Yeah.
Should we have our ear to the ground? Is something going to come soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Friday is going to be one of the biggest events in American election history.
What time? Where should I tune in?
The details will be shared.
Where?
Go to Bobby's X account, and Team Kennedy will be releasing a press release as well.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the biggest events in American electoral history. What could that possibly mean? I think that's kind of odd framing if the only thing that's going to happen is Bobby drops out and endorses Donald Trump. I don't think that would be the biggest event in American electoral. I mean, okay, maybe, I suppose he's a Kennedy. That's never happened before, a Kennedy endorsing a Democrat, a Republican. So maybe that would be like the biggest event in American electoral politics because a Kennedy went the other way and is actually now endorsing Donald Trump. One of the things that makes me think, what if the announcement is, and this would be the biggest shakeup, one of the biggest events in American electoral politics, is if Trump announces that not only is Bobby dropping out of the race, but he's swapping J.D. Vance out with Kennedy. That would be huge. So maybe that, I don't think that's the announcement. That's not really, it could be, that would be amazing if it was. But there's a lot of chatter that tomorrow Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be dropping out of the race. Nicole Shanahan is his VP running mate. She's also one of the largest funders of his campaign. So she's got a lot to lose, not just her VP slot on the ticket, but she's got a lot of money that she's spent. She spent, the reports are about $4 million for a Super Bowl ad. She's put a lot of money into the campaign. So she's lost a lot of money on this campaign or invested a lot of money in this campaign, and it's not going to pan out. She's been making the rounds, dropping the hints that he is, in fact, going to be announcing that his campaign is over tomorrow. Here she is on Fox News talking about how basically the Democrats have gone after Bobby. Not only do we see Trump being dragged into court, but we're actually also seeing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. dragged into court. By the way, Jill Stein is also being dragged into the court by the Democrats. So Democrats are very big on using lawfare. Watch this.
I have to say there's only one party that has obstructed a fair election for us. And unfortunately, it was the Democratic Party. They've done everything they can, including creating PACs to prevent us from being able to have ballot access.
Yeah, it's interesting because you were saying that you could stay in and run the risk of Kamala Harris win, or you could walk and you could join forces with Donald Trump. When you say join forces, Nicole, what do you mean specifically?
Well, this idea of a unity party, an idea of us coming around these principles of fighting for liberty in this country, fighting for our children's health. We have the worst chronic health crisis in the world right now. Over 50% of children are diagnosed with some chronic disease. This is unconscionable. Yeah. And we are willing to work with anyone who is sincere in their endeavor to fix and address this issue.
Do you believe the Trump campaign and Trump himself is sincere? Do you see a home? You talk about this as being Bobby's decision. Do you see a home for RFK Jr. in the Trump administration, Health and Human Services, something to that extent?
I would fully support it. I would fully support a strong partnership dedicated to this issue. A lot of people comment that in his first term he didn't accomplish many of the things that that mothers really were hoping he would do. Made some big mistakes around the pandemic. However, I think that he is sincere. Yeah, I do.
I think it's interesting because the National Review today kind of agrees with you. It's saying that if you, in fact, join the Trump campaign, I'm not saying the Trump campaign, if you pulled out of the race, that it would be more beneficial to the Trump campaign than the Harris campaign. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that it's a tight race right now. Yeah. I wish that we had a chance to debate, that we had fair representation in the polls. I wish we had a chance to be on stage, because had we likely would have won this election. Yeah. 71% of Americans want a strong third-party option, and we delivered it in terms of ballot access. But they're suing us. The DNC aligned PACs are suing us to get us off the ballots right now. These are frivolous lawsuits. We've had some of the best people involved in our ballot petitions, some of the most precise, signature packages ever submitted to any of the Secretary of States. We've overcome so much to get to this point. So to even be contemplating this is tough. It's a really hard decision, and we don't come to this moment lightly. We come to this moment because in every single decision we make, first and foremost, we want to make sure that we are representing the best interest of health and wellness of young people, children, and future generations.
I really like Nicole. I have to say, I really like her. The more I've listened to her, the more interviews she's done. I think she's a genuine person. And my biggest criticism about RFK Jr. selecting Nicole as his running mate is that she isn't battle tested, that we don't know how she would hold up to, when your feet are held to the fire. We know what the establishment is willing to do. Bobby's being dragged through various courts. Trump has been dragged through various courts. They tried to impeach him twice. They tried to kill the guy. We see how the establishment gets together and they really truly bully a person. And you've got to be able to stand up to that. You have to be able to just say, I'm willing to risk it all, even my life, because that's ultimately what Bobby understands as a Kennedy, having 2 assassinations in his own family. And what Trump obviously understands as well right now is that you've got to be willing to literally even risk your life if you're going to go up against the establishment. And that's been my big criticism on Nicole, is that she hadn't been battle tested. But I'll tell you what, she's about to be battle tested. She's about to be battle tested, because if they do drop out tomorrow and they endorse Donald Trump and they go Republican, here she is, a Silicon Valley exec living in San Francisco, liberal San Francisco. And all of her friends, I'm sure, are liberals in San Francisco. I'm sure many of her inner circle, I'm sure she's lost a lot of her inner circle. And so this is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. If she holds through this, if she can hold strong through this, then, there might be a really good political future for Nicole, because otherwise I like her. I think she's down to earth. I think she speaks a language that many people understand, which is she speaks with her heart. And I think she's really sincere. So I like her. I'm just going to put that out there. But what does this mean? So she's making the rounds and she's saying, she's pretty much indicating we're going to drop out. She kind of did that softball the other day. We showed it on the show where she says, we're debating on what to do. That's usually a water testing technique to see how the audience would, how the supporters would react to news like that, news of dropping out. And you want to drop those hints first, and then you kind of see how people react. And if they revolt, then you got a problem. And you say, oh, no, we weren't really meaning that. But if they kind of say, well, we kind of get it, then you could go forward from there. So they're dropping the hints. Tomorrow, they're apparently having that big announcement. Meanwhile, and then they're getting some threats. I saw that Billy Baldwin actually threatened RFK Jr. It's kind of like a weird threat where he says, hey, Bobby, I heard you're dropping out, make the right choice. By the way, have you heard from your family members lately? It was a very weird tweet. And so there is a lot of pressure on Bobby, if he's going to be dropping out, to go and endorse Kamala Harris. That's where the pressure is going to be. But it doesn't sound like they're going in that direction. And why would they? The Democrats have been assholes. Quite frankly, they're just dragging them through the mud, through literal court after court, trying to kick them off the ballot. So it's bad enough that they wouldn't allow him to debate Joe Biden when that should have absolutely happened. Joe Biden's not even the nominee anymore. Should have been able to debate Joe and showcase that. Should have been able to give the American Democratic voting population an alternative. They didn't allow that. Now they want him completely kicked off the ballot. They don't want him even there. Here he is in another court battle. We followed him he was in, I believe it was in North Carolina, where he at least won that case. Then in New York, he was kicked off the ballot there by a judge. Here he is in Pennsylvania.
Hey, everybody. I'm at the state courthouse in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania this morning. I'm supposed to be in a meeting with community leaders on the south side of Chicago today, talking about criminal justice reform. But I had to come here because the Democratic Party is suing me in Pennsylvania. And by the way, tomorrow I'm going to Mineola, Long Island, because they're suing me there too. They're suing me all over the country. They're trying to keep me off the ballot. Unfortunately, in some of these states, we're running into judges who are highly politicized and who are very, very sympathetic, let me put it that way, to the DNC.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like he's actually going to be able to be on the ballot in Pennsylvania. It looks like the judge wouldn't hear his case. He says that they're going to lose there, but they're going to win when it comes to an appeal. But an appeal would be way too late. By the time he appeals any of these judgments, like New York or Pennsylvania, by that point, the election would be over, possibly. There's a real possibility of that. So they're not giving, the Democratic Party is not democratic at all. So now the question is, all right, if he goes and he endorses Donald Trump, what cabinet position would he be even getting a cabinet position at all? JD Vance kind of calls that into question slightly. Watch this.
The other day you told us that trading an endorsement for a cabinet position or a job in government is unethical. Yesterday, former President Trump, I believe, was asked about Robert F. Kennedy's support, whether he would accept an endorsement or give him a cabinet position, and he said, quote, "I probably would if something like that were to happen." Is that towing that ethical line that you drew?
Well, look, I think clearly Donald Trump is not going to say, I'll give you a cabinet position if you give me an endorsement. But he's been working for RFK's endorsement because RFK represents, I think, an old guard of the Democratic Party that was patriotic, that was actually very supportive of American workers, and that unfortunately isn't very welcome in today's Kamala Harris-led Democratic Party. So I know the president's been working hard for that, but it's completely separate from whether RFK gets a cabinet position. It's about welcoming a lot of those Democrats who feel abandoned by the party of Kamala Harris.
You said he's been working for that endorsement. Has your campaign reached out to Robert F. Kennedy's representatives, to the candidate himself, to ask for that endorsement?
So I haven't spoken to RFK personally, but I know there's been a lot of communication back and forth between RFK, between the campaign, between this campaign. Look, our argument to RFK, and I'll make it right now because of course he hasn't dropped out yet, is look, if you want a Democratic Party that protected American workers and stood for strong borders, maybe disagreed with Republicans on things like tax policy, that party doesn't exist anymore. You have Kamala Harris, who's pro-war, pro-open borders, and very against traditional American workers. If you want to restore good public policy, unfortunately, the Republican Party is the only ticket in town. And so I've been working to get RFK and the people who support RFK to support the President Trump's campaign.
The question is, though, is that, obviously Trump can't make any cabinet appointments, and you can't like sign a contract of, at least I don't think you can. Can you sign a contract that says if you become president, you guarantee that I'm going to be this cabinet position? I don't think you could do that. So it's a gamble, right? So of course, Donald Trump and them could change their minds. I mean, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could come out and endorse Donald Trump tomorrow, and then Trump wins and Trump says, oh, never mind, Bobby, I was going to give you a spot, but actually I'm not anymore. Sorry about that. What would it matter to Trump at that point? He's not going to be up for re-election again. So it's not like he needs Bobby's support moving forward. So there is a real gamble there. But my hope is that Trump actually is going to put Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the cabinet. I think people want to see that. People would love to see him as a VP. I think that would make him assassination proof, quite frankly. They would have to make sure they're never in the same room together, because that would be something. But let's talk about the other cabinet positions that would be available. Now, the rumor is out there that possibly, and it would be just so absolutely amazing to see, Bobby being made the CIA director. Now, that would be something. I know a lot of people want to talk about the director of Health and Human Services because he's big on, health and children and health of people and vaccines and all of that. I think he would do a fantastic job as the director of Health and Human Services. But wow, would I think he also do a fantastic job as the head of the CIA, as the CIA director. We would finally get some answers. He would release the documents pertaining to his dad and his uncle's murder. He would maybe even dismantle part of the CIA. I mean, wouldn't we all just love to see that? Another great position for him potentially would be the director of national intelligence, also just over all of the surveillance apparatus. That would be a really good thing to also see him. Maybe he would actually whittle that down, and he would do a lot of Republican things, I think, even though he's been traditionally a Democrat, thought that he was a Democrat, wanted to restore the Democratic Party. The bottom line is he wants to actually get rid of a lot of these agencies. And that's what Republicans are all about, whittling down government. So there's a possibility that he would do a really good job as the director of national intelligence. I think that the director of national intelligence is over like 19 like essentially spy agencies, not just the CIA, but all of these Yeah, we could get rid of some of those. Obviously, there's also the job of the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Bobby Kennedy has done a lot of work with the environment, cleaning up the rivers in New York. He's got a lot of background as a lawyer, fighting environmental stuff, trying to keep the water and air clean. So there's a possibility there. I would also love to see him as Secretary of State. I think that would be a great spot for him too, where he actually goes and does the diplomacy around the world and actually tries to calm down the wars. I think he would be excellent in that role. So I would love to see him as VP. I would also love to see him as Secretary of State. I would love to see him as the CIA director or the director of national. Really, I'd really like to see him as VP, Secretary of State, or the director of the CIA. I also understand, though, the director of Health and Human Services. And that's probably what he would end up with. But it's not as cool. It's not as cool as the other ones. I'm just going to say it. It's just not. He can do, maybe Nicole could become maybe they could do a 2-person deal where they both get in there and they make Nicole the head of the Department of Health and Human Services and Bobby gets to be the head of the CIA. That would be really, really awesome. I would love to see Thomas Massey, the head of agriculture. I think he would be excellent there. He's big on raw milk and deregulating a lot of the regulations there that are when it comes to agriculture and when it also comes to just living off the grid. I think Thomas Massey would do an excellent job there. There's so many people I would love to see in this cabinet, but I'm not going to hold my breath because last time Trump did fill it with a bunch of elites, a bunch of establishment hacks. And so we could almost guess that round 2 he would do. I would hope that he's learned his lesson and that he wouldn't do that. But and especially if Bobby's the head of the CIA, then maybe he would feel a little bit more secure, like they're not going to off him if he actually puts in game changers in these cabinet positions. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But he is up in the polls as of right now. Trump is, some of them are saying that he's beating Kamala Harris. I think a lot of this support for Kamala Harris is just a big sham. The minute she starts talking, people don't support her. She was never supported. She was never liked. I can't imagine her actually winning, but they are pouring a lot of money into her and they're certainly trying to build her up as, oh, joy. Everybody's so excited about Kamala Harris. Yeah, I just don't think on the ground that that's the reality, but Democrats are feeding us a bunch of bull all the time about a bunch of things. They're just telling us, no, you don't understand. Your vision of reality is not reality. Reality is what we're telling you reality is, and none of it's reality. All right, guys. I would love to, like I said, I would love to see RFK Jr. as CIA director. I think that would be really something. Hey guys, this was just a clip of a longer show. Catch the full show by going to KimIversonShow.com. It is free. It airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You could go back now and watch this full interview. I highly recommend it. Again, go to KimIversonShow.com. Thank you so much for watching.